Hello and welcome to a preview chat for EA Sports F1 2022, or just EA Sports F1 22, or just F1 22, depending on how you want to look at it. My name's Adam Cook and I'm joined by Chris White, who's been playing this very game, haven't you, mate?
I certainly have, mate. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yourself?
Good, yeah, not too bad, thank you.
I think it's a strange one. We should just jump straight into this. It's a strange one because the reason I named it three different ways is that people may or may not be aware that the series is now owned by EA. They bought Codemasters, so what would just normally be the yearly F1 game and F1 22 is now officially titled EA Sports F1 22. And like I've seen screenshots and stuff, and it's got all the kind of very trendy marketing style, EA Sports imagery around it and stuff. I suppose the way, where I'd like to start is by asking, like, from what you've played of it, which is admittedly an unfinished preview build, what's different? What's the same? Can you tell it's by a different publisher?
A lot of EA, when a game is under the EA Sports banner, you expect a certain caliber of game, and Codemasters and F1, especially last year, like the quality on offer, not just by the way it looked or the modes it offered, but when you look at like the nitty gritty of the way the cars handled, the amount of different options and variables you can adjust to get it right and how you want to play, the authenticity of the sport within the game, and all of that, like they have always nailed it. And at EA, Codemasters have been purchased by them, but there's still the same core team working on it, and they've done a fantastic job of, because with many F1 seasons, there are always new rules and regulations and things like that. So F1 22 has utilized their skill set to kind of match what the rules are, like the aero rules and the difference in tires and weight distribution and stuff like that. So basically, yes, you can notice certain changes to the way the cars handle. When you are kind of going at slower speeds, the cars feel a lot heavier, clunkier, and it's, I wouldn't say the controls take it away at all, but you have to really be careful when going into corners and braking, to not to overshot it. But by doing so, and when you're at a faster speed, the control feels even better than it does at slower speed. So you're kind of always kind of adjusting based on that, and it feels a lot better to play, in my opinion. You've got more control over it. I think with the new track, the Miami Autodrome, International Autodrome, at the Hard Rock Stadium, which is obviously home of the Miami Dolphins, which only just featured in the actual F1 Sport of the weekend. It's a different kind of track, so you're getting to use a lot of these, you're getting to feel a lot of these changes, because it's a lot kind of, it's not as wide, the track isn't as wide, as there's a lot, there's 19 corners in total, there's only 3 DRS zones, so you don't have a lot of opportunities to kind of overtake, so you really have to kind of play into those new rules and tweaks to the gameplay. So yeah, I mean, F1 2021 was a fantastic game, really faithful to the sport, and so far in the preview, like they are continuing this tradition of making a top F1 game.
So does it feel more like, again, and obviously you haven't played like everything this has to offer, it is an unfinished preview build, as I said, but does it feel like, I don't want to do it a disservice by saying like the yearly iteration, because all sports games have a base to build upon, and they add features and they tweak things. I'm like, would you say it is more, because like what you said about the way the cars feel heavier when they're slower and they feel quicker and more controllable, but, like, is that more sim based? Like, is it even more of a sim than before?
I think it is, yeah. But I do think like EA have done what certainly other game developers who focus solely on racing games have made it incredibly accessible, and even on like a harder difficulties, you feel more in control. Like one thing want to name names, but there's certain races where a slight too much throttle and you're flying off the course, and it's quite frustrating. This it doesn't take long to get to grips with it. Like you start to notice the nuances as you progress through the different tracks, and obviously different tracks mean different corners, different circuits, different bends, distances, and straights and stuff like that. But they all kind of you get to grips with it quite quickly. And I think yes, it is heavily sim based, but it's as sim based as you want it to be as well, because you can turn it into casual mode, which strips back a lot of the kind of the detail, and you can just get out there and race, or you can go, heavier into that and adjust every kind of setting you want on your car. Fans of F1 will adore it. Fans that don't really follow F1 will still adore it, I think, because it's just such a good game. It just feels good in your hands. Really, really does feel like a good racer so far. And even though there's loads of other modes that we haven't even seen yet, the way that it feels and plays, and also the way it looks, like the attention to detail and the broadcast of race weekends is incredible. So there's a lot there that fans that have played it before will find new, but also just in general it just looks and plays really well.
I mean, that's great news. I mean, obviously, we'll cover it again nearer the time, I'm sure. But it's interesting, because the one thing I would hope that EA does bring to the table would be obviously apart from things like they're going to do marketing budgets differently, obviously, but in terms of the graphical oomph, there's a bit more perhaps money behind it because it's EA. But I mean, it doesn't sound, from what you're saying, from what you've played, it doesn't sound like EA have kind of stuck their oar in. It does sound like Codemasters are still building out to be Codemasters.
They have. Like I said, last year it was just really good, well-made game. Like the amount of effort that goes into making these games is astounding. Like we've got an interview which will be going live soon.
Yes.
Where we find out a lot about how they the new track Miami, the way they have faithfully created that to include exact estimate, exact widths and in meters and that of the tracks, and how they record that data is ridiculous. They really do make it as realistic as possible, and I think with EA behind that has been made more kind of I don't want to give too much away because you will read the interview, but there's the way they got some guys from their EA studio in America, in Orlando, to go over to the track and record it for them to make it a lot easier. They've got more resources. So yes, there are going to be things that they've done which they may not have been able to do before, but the core team who make these games are incredibly, talented. And it's going to be good. Seeing just the little things like the F1 Live when that gets introduced, or hopefully we get to see a little bit of that before release. But that's going to be a cool feature for fans of the sport and of the kind of the races themselves and the lifestyles, because there's more to it than that. You've got the story mode, obviously the online, which is crazy. There's a lot still to come, but as a core experience at the minute, we've just playing the kind of 5 tracks, 5 circuits, and just feeling that new kind of adjustments to the gameplay. I think it's going to be something pretty special.
Cool. Well, you can read that interview with, I believe it's Lee Mather, who's been with Codemasters for quite some time, I think. That'll be on godisageek.com. If it's not live at the time this video is up, we'll stick a link in the description or drop it in the comments so you can go and read it. But otherwise, I mean, look, honestly, you should be going to godisageek.com every day to check it out anyway. So, that's one easy way to find out. If you did enjoy this video and you want to get more involved, you can come and join our community via patreon.com/godisageek, where you'll find a Discord full of lovely people and a lovely community who love to chat games, sports, music, movies, normal stuff, basically. That's normal stuff. And that's patreon.com/godisageek for as low as $1 or £1 a month. You can get involved with our community. Chris, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And everybody else, we'll see you in the next video. Cheers for watching. Bye for now.